Big shout out to today's video sponsor, Linsoul. Check out their fantastic deals in the links in the video description. Can Edifier's WH950NB noise cancelling headphones impress? Or are the comparisons to Sony's and Bose's headphones just hype? Let's talk about that. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas and a big thanks to Edifier for sending these out. They don't have any editorial input on this video and are seeing it for the first time, the same time as you guys, so let's get into it. This is a £180 pair of wireless over-ear noise cancelling headphones. They aim to compete with the step-down versions of Sony's flagship headphones, so not the XM4s or the XM5s, despite what the sensationalist headlines and video titles would lead you to believe. They come with a fabric hard shell case, an in-flight adapter, a straight to right-angled 3.5mm headphone cable, and a USB-C to A for charging. This is a pretty comprehensive package for the money. The case has the headphones fold up inside it with this little fabric tag thing to stop the cans rubbing or scratching, because of course they are plastic. You feel it. They certainly don't feel cheap, but they don't feel crazy robust or refined either, so you're probably going to scratch them at some point. But thankfully if you use the case, you won't really need to worry about breaking them. They're relatively light with an appropriate clamping pressure. There's a nice amount of stretch and ability to manipulate the headband and ear cups, which makes them really comfortable. The super soft headband and ear cups naturally help with the comfort. I showed them to my partner Katie and she just didn't want to take them off her head. She has a pair of Sony headphones in the same kind of price bracket as these, but from a few years ago, and was enamored with just how comfortable the 950s are versus the Sonys, and I have to agree, these are definitely some of the most comfortable headphones I've ever worn, let alone true wireless or noise cancelling, just headphones in general, so big props to Edifier for that. They also really don't look bad either. You can get them in a white and gold or this sort of black and copper / rose gold. There's some Edifier branding on the headband, but not much else, which should deter thieves because they look pretty generic, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are some buttons on the right ear cup, including play, pause, and the volume up and down, with an additional function button and a USB-C port. On the left ear cup, it just has the 3.5mm port, which is the correct side in my opinion. These buttons' functions can be configured to do pretty much whatever you want in the application, but we'll get to that in a second. The buttons are easy to press and feel out, though there aren't any fancy touch gestures. I quite like that because I'm old-fashioned and I like basic control setups. You don't need touch for everything. I tested the Bluetooth connection by setting my phone down on my desk in my office and then walking all the way to the other side of the house, and then down a floor and then all the way to the other side of the house, going into the garden and then going as far back into the garden as possible, and these things didn't drop out. Now, to be fair, I live in quite a small house with relatively thin walls, but that's as far as I'd ever need an audio source to be from my headphones, so it's as far as I bother testing. And it's about 25 meters or so through a house and into the garden. The 950s have a microphone built into them, so here's a sample of that. Here is a test of the microphone on the, whatever these Edifier's model name is, I forget now. Yeah, it doesn't sound great. It's pretty muffled. There's not a lot of detail. I suppose it's usable, but the phone microphone is going to be a lot better than the one on the headset. And as you can tell, it's not amazing. So I wouldn't be taking loads of calls on these, but I have taken a couple and asked the person on the other side what they thought of the mic quality. They said they could hear me, but it was just quite muffled. If you're on Android, you'll be able to take advantage of Google's Fast Pair. This is the feature that kind of acts like when you use Apple headphones with Apple phones. You can put them right next to each other and it will pop up with a connection window, you hit connect and that's it. No digging through the Bluetooth settings, putting it in pairing mode, none of that. And it's actually very seamless. I'm a big fan of this feature and it worked exactly as advertised on my Pixel 7a, so that is very cool. They also have LDAC, which is a higher end Bluetooth streaming codec. It is noticeably better than the default setup on here. You'll hear less artifacting or digital distortion with this setting enabled, so if your source supports it, I recommend enabling it, though it does disable the dual device connectivity, because if you don't have LDAC enabled, this can connect to two sources at the same time. Speaking of which, The app is not required for these headphones to work, so don't worry about that, you don't need the app. But I would recommend it because it's where you get access to a lot of the control customization, sound modes. You know, after playing around with them, I left the 950s in music mode because I thought it had the best balanced sound. Other items in here include sort of firmware updating, safer volume capping, and you even get this little notification widget thing that lets you adjust the 950s without having to go into the app itself, which is very handy to have and a big feature. I think the I'm not going to try saying the whole name. It's a big feature I think the 950s are worth buying for. As for how long they last, well, I did all my testing with the ANC on in the high noise cancelling setting and then set the volume to around 25%. And after listening for a couple of hours a day, I still haven't needed to charge them after a total week of usage. They're on about 20% now, and they were about 100 a week ago, so that's pretty good if you ask me. Right, we're on to the sound quality section. This is the bit where so many online reviewers tell you the 950s sound amazing and bassy and great. One of those things is correct. There's a lot of mid bass with these. They are your typical consumer bass and upper mid heavy profile that make mass headphones sound pretty much the same. It's inoffensive, it's easy to listen to for most people, but audiophiles, you should probably turn off the video now because they're just not that good. The bass bleeds massively, it's boomy, it's quite uncontrolled, it's not something I have never heard before, it's just not that refined. There's not much in the way of treble by default either. I did make some changes in the app's customization section, which I would recommend because it did improve my listening experience dramatically. And these aren't horrible to listen to by any stretch, but if you're after a clean sound, you're not getting it with the 950s. The soundstage and imaging are pretty average for something like this, pretty decent, you know, you get a decent sense of depth and width, which makes gaming with them pretty decent. They're not esports headphones, so, you know, I tried playing a bit of CS2 with these, just not cut out for it. I'll switch to IEMs for that. But for casual gamers, I don't know, I think you could enjoy playing Call of Duty, Battlefield, anything like that with these absolutely no problem. They really do work for casual listening, commuting, when I'm doing chores around the house. I don't want to understate their convenience, and to be fair, the bass bleed, whilst I'm going to notice it, I feel like most consumers won't notice it. The big thing to me was the lack of treble, and I think this is because many headphones designed for mass market don't really want to offend someone with their sound, and a lot of people are sensitive to sibilants. So by me raising that a little bit, it gives it a bit more crispness, a bit more clarity, and it also enables me to adjust it if I want to. So that is very good to have. And strangely, if they wanted to go for more bass, which they did do, they put a lot of bass on these things by default, you'd think there'd be more sub bass, but there's actually not that much, so yeah. Active noise cancellation is pretty good as well. It's not competing with Sony or Bose, even in the same price category, let alone their higher end stuff. But for rudimentary noise cancelling, it's pretty decent and it's adjustable. It doesn't give you that superpower feeling that some ANC sets will give you. You do hear noise around you. It's just like someone took the IRL noise dial and turned it down to 2. So you can still hear stuff, it's just not nearly as loud as with the ANC turned off. The transparency mode is also very good, and I'm really glad Edifier included it because it's sharp, clear, it's very useful to have. So can I recommend the WH950NB? Well, yeah, absolutely. As long as you know you're not getting the best sound quality, or the best Sony beating ANC, the 950s are well worth it. The build, the comfort, the included accessories, the sound, the ANC, all come together to make a convenient, stylish, useful package that for 180 quid presents pretty decent value as well. And you know what? They don't sound bad, but I would recommend going in and adjusting the EQ to your liking if you are looking to pick up a pair. And with that, it's time for me to go. A big thanks to Edifier for sending these things out, and a thanks to you for watching today's video. Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you use Edifier products? I love their speakers, so I thought I'd try these headphones out, and you know what? Not bad, but they're not beating my Sennheisers or Audio-Technicas anytime soon. Links and all that will be in the description. Hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.